Your services are no longer required, Ms. Davis. Victor Brentwood's words slice through the boardroom as Alexandria stares at the unanimous vote tally. The Pinnacle Industries Executive Board watches with barely concealed satisfaction. Victor slides termination papers across the polished mahogany. His fingers linger, savoring the moment. Heather Mills rises, deliberately knocking Alexandria's framed achievements to the floor. Glass shatters, photos scatter. "Let me help you pack," Heather says, voice dripping with false concern. Alexandria kneels, collecting the fragments while 6 white executives tower above her. Her fingers don't tremble. Her eyes remain dry. She rises with perfect posture, dignity intact. What would you do if your own executive team tried to remove you from power? Comment below. They celebrate their victory, unaware they've just handed her the perfect weapon. 2 years earlier. Alexandria Davis steps through Pinnacle Industries' gleaming lobby doors. Her tailored navy suit and confident stride draw curious glances from employees. She carries nothing but a slim leather portfolio, Stanford MBA, tech startup success, and brilliant turnaround strategy, all condensed into pristine documents. The struggling tech giant's board has reluctantly appointed her after their headhunting firm insisted she was their only chance at survival. Their stock price has plummeted 32% in 18 months. Their market share bleeds daily to more innovative competitors. Victor Brentwood meets her at the elevator, his CFO badge glinting under harsh fluorescent lights. "I'll show you around," he says, voice tight. His handshake is brief, perfunctory. His eyes never quite meet hers. "I appreciate that, Victor. I'm eager to meet the team." Alexandria's voice carries natural authority without aggression. The executive floor gleams with privilege, original artwork, ergonomic furniture, panoramic city views. Victor's tour feels mechanical, detached. He introduces key players with barely disguised reluctance. "Our COO, Heather Mills." The blonde woman's smile freezes before reaching her eyes. "Thomas Grayson, CTO." The man barely looks up from his device. "And Bradley Wilson, CMO." A quick, dismissive nod. Alexandria notices their exchanged glances, the subtle repositioning away from her as she approaches. The choreography of exclusion is familiar, practiced. Later, outside the executive bathroom, Alexandria pauses as Heather's voice carries through the door crack. "How long before the diversity hire realizes she's in over her head?" Heather asks. Bradley's laugh follows. "Victor gives her 6 months tops." Alexandria continues walking, face neutral. In her assigned office, essential files are mysteriously absent. Her computer access remains pending. The executive assistant assigned to her reports technical difficulties with alarming frequency. Alexandria handles each obstacle methodically, without complaint. She makes notes. She asks precise questions. She smiles professionally. That evening, Alexandria drives her Tesla to a secluded viewpoint overlooking the city's twinkling skyline. Pinnacle's tower stands tallest among them, its logo illuminated against the night sky. She pulls out a secure phone, dials a contact listed only as J. "Phase 1 complete," she reports. "The board took the bait. They have no idea who I really am." "Should we proceed with Phase 2, or do you want to pull the plug?" the voice asks. 3 months into Alexandria's tenure. The quarterly board meeting begins precisely at 9:00 a.m. in Pinnacle's glass-walled conference room. Alexandria stands at the podium, presenting data showing an 8% stock increase since her strategic initiatives launched. "Our customer acquisition costs have decreased by 17%, she explains, gesturing to the crisp infographic on screen. "And our retention metrics show—" "These numbers seem overly optimistic," Victor interrupts, leaning forward. His Italian suit creases perfectly as he adjusts his position. "The market fluctuations alone could explain most of this temporary uptick." Alexandria taps her tablet, bringing up comparison analytics. These figures account for market variables. Our growth outpaces the industry average by, in my experience, Heather interjects, exchanging glances with Victor. Early performance spikes often precede significant corrections. Alexandria maintains her composure. The data doesn't support that conclusion in our case. If you examine page 12 of the report, Thomas Grayson, the CTO, clears his throat. I'm concerned about the sustainability of these initiatives. They diverge significantly from our established practices. One by one, the executives raise perfectly coordinated objections. Alexandria counters each with precise market research and competitor analysis. The board chairman, Gerald Hoffman, watches silently, his expression thoughtful but non-committal. The meeting concludes without formal endorsement of Alexandria's strategy. Later that day, Alexandria discovers her reserved parking spot has been reassigned to a distant corner of the company lot. Her executive assistant has been transferred without notice. Her calendar alerts her to meetings she wasn't invited to attend. That evening, Alexandria represents Pinnacle at a high-profile client dinner. Potential investors circle the room, evaluating partnership opportunities. Victor introduces her with practiced insincerity. And this is Alexandria Davis, our temporary CEO. His emphasis on temporary isn't subtle. When Alexandria begins discussing growth projections with an interested investor, Victor smoothly interrupts. Let me clarify what Alexandria means. He dominates the conversation while she stands silently. One investor, Philip Chen, notices the dynamic. As the event concludes, he discreetly hands Alexandria his business card. Call me directly, he murmurs. I recognize leadership when I see it. After midnight, Alexandria meets her private financial advisor in a secured office across town. Electronic scramblers prevent surveillance. Digital locks secure the room. They're actively working against me, she explains, removing her professional mask for the first time. Good, the advisor responds, spreading confidential documents across the table. Everything is proceeding according to plan. Alexandria reviews pages showing her private equity firm's quiet acquisition of Pinnacle stock through various shell companies. The numbers tell a story of strategic patience. 6 months into Alexandria's tenure. The quarterly meeting atmosphere feels different today, tense, expectant. Executive committee members exchange knowing glances as they take their seats. Alexandria notices Victor's barely concealed smirk as he arranges documents before him. Let's begin with performance review, Gerald announces, yielding the floor to Victor immediately. Victor stands, clicking to his first slide. The projected data shows plummeting market share and customer satisfaction scores that contradict everything in Alexandria's reports. These failures occurred under Alexandria's leadership, Victor declares, voice steady with practiced concern. The numbers speak for themselves. Alexandria opens her tablet. These figures don't match our actual performance data. If we examine the... Perhaps, Gerald interrupts, his tone condescending. You should spend more time understanding our business model before questioning those who've been here for years. The room temperature seems to drop. Alexandria feels eyes watching her reaction, measuring her composure. Heather leans forward, pearl necklace catching the light. I suggest Alexandria step back from the Anderson account. My team can manage their concerns more effectively. Agreed, Thomas adds. And the product development initiative should return to my direct supervision. The technical complexities require experienced oversight. One by one, they dismantle her authority. Projects reassigned, decisions questioned, accomplishments minimized. They force her to sit through a 4-hour performance review where each department head critiques her leadership without specific examples. 6 voices take turns explaining her inadequacies while she takes notes on her areas for improvement. Alexandria notices Bradley recording parts of the meeting discreetly on his phone. Later, passing the break room, she overhears his whispered conversation. This will be perfect for when we need to justify her removal. That evening, Alexandria finds her office belongings packed in cardboard boxes. A facilities manager explains apologetically that her office has been relocated to a smaller space near the building's maintenance area. Her parking access has been revoked. An email from HR cites temporary adjustments due to leadership restructuring. Alexandria drives home in silence. Inside her minimalist apartment, she kicks off her heels and calls Jay again. "They're accelerating their timeline," she says, voice calm despite everything. "Good," Jay responds. "So should we." Alexandria opens a secure laptop displaying Pinnacle's actual performance data. The company has grown 15% under her leadership. Customer satisfaction metrics show a 5-year high. 3 major clients have expanded their contracts, specifically requesting to work with her. She accesses a digital vault containing private ownership documents and stock purchase records. A notification appears. Another 2% of company shares acquired through her anonymous holding company. Alexandria sits alone in her downgraded office. The space smells faintly of industrial cleaner. The window overlooks the parking garage instead of the city skyline. Her desk wobbles slightly when she types. She opens her leather portfolio, removing photos of her parents, distinguished civil rights attorneys who spent their careers fighting systemic injustice. Their confident expressions stare back at her from silver frames. "I won't just walk away like they expect," she whispers to their image. Her fingers trace the edge of her father's frame. "Not this time." Her secure phone vibrates against the desk. Unknown number. "Executive committee meeting happening now. You weren't invited." Alexandria accesses the building's security system through her private server. The conference room camera feed appears on her screen. Victor stands at the head of the table, gesturing emphatically. "Leadership transition should happen before the next quarter," his voice comes through clearly. "We've documented sufficient cause." Heads nod in agreement around the table. Gerald shifts uncomfortably but raises no objection. Alexandria switches screens, accessing her private server. Documents appear her history before Pinnacle revealed in confidential reports. 3 successful tech companies built and sold under different names. Net worth exceeding $2 billion. Most critically, a detailed investigation into Pinnacle spanning years. 5 years ago, Pinnacle stole intellectual property from her mentor, Dr. James Wright. They buried him in litigation until his company collapsed. His innovation became their flagship product while he lost everything. Alexandria makes a secure call to Judge William Thornton, an old family friend who witnessed her parents' legal battles. "It's worse than we suspected," she explains, voice low despite the privacy. "I've documented everything. Pattern of discrimination, financial manipulation, potential securities fraud." "Be careful," the judge warns. His voice carries the weight of experience. "People like this are dangerous when cornered." Her phone buzzes with another text, this time from Philip Chen. "Heard rumblings about executive changes at Pinnacle. Are you safe?" She considers her response carefully. "Preparing for turbulence. Do you still want to discuss that investment opportunity?" His reply comes quickly. "Absolutely. Private dinner tomorrow?" Alexandria then calls her most trusted ally, Dr. Jasmine Williams, brilliant securities attorney and longtime friend. They've navigated corporate waters together since law school. "They're moving faster than anticipated," Alexandria says. "Can you accelerate our timeline?" "We need 5% more ownership," Jasmine responds. The sound of typing punctuates her words. "I can have the paperwork ready by Friday if you're sure." "I'm sure," Alexandria confirms, glancing at her parents' photos again. "They've given me no choice." Alexandria arrives the next morning to find her company email restricted system maintenance, according to IT. Her assistant's desk sits empty, replaced by Victor's loyal employee, Diane, who smiles thinly. "I'll be supporting you during this transition period," Diane explains, emphasizing the word transition. The executive staff meeting begins at 10 o'clock. Alexandria enters the conference room to find all chairs occupied except hers, which is conspicuously absent. Victor addresses her standing. "Since you'll be transitioning soon, we thought you'd prefer to take notes." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Others suppress chuckles. Alexandria's face betrays nothing. She calmly pulls a chair from the adjacent wall, positioning herself at the table. "I'm still CEO until the board says otherwise," she states, voice level but firm. The meeting proceeds with pointed exclusion. Questions directed to Alexandria get redirected. Her comments receive immediate challenges. When she attempts to distribute her presentation materials, Heather accidentally spills coffee across the documents. "So clumsy of me," Heather says without apology, making minimal effort to blot the spreading stain. Alexandria returns to her office to discover project files missing from her system. Emails alert her that her initiatives have been reassigned to other executives to ensure continuity. Major clients receive communications suggesting they work with other executives during this transition period. At 7, Alexandria meets Philip Chen at an exclusive restaurant downtown. They're seated in a private room with sweeping city views and guaranteed privacy. Their conversation remains carefully worded. Both understand the stakes. "I represent investors who see tremendous untapped value in Pinnacle," Philip explains, sipping his water. "No alcohol. This is business." "The current management structure is problematic," Alexandria responds, matching his professional tone. "My principals are prepared to acquire significant additional shares if certain leadership changes occur," Philip suggests, sliding a leather folder across the table. "What timeline are your investors considering?" Alexandria asks, not touching the folder yet. "They could move very quickly under the right circumstances." His emphasis on right circumstances carries clear meaning. They exchange documents disguised as restaurant menus. Alexandria receives confirmation of a substantial stock purchase agreement. The final pieces of her strategy falling into place. Back at her apartment, Alexandria records a detailed video documenting everything she's experienced. She speaks clearly, factually, without emotional embellishment. The video uploads to a secure server with instructions for release under specific circumstances. Victor calls an emergency executive committee meeting Wednesday afternoon. The calendar invitation excludes Alexandria, but she monitors the situation through loyal employees in administrative roles. She times her entrance perfectly, 15 minutes after they've begun, when conversation has reached maximum intensity. Voices fall silent the moment she appears in the doorway. "Don't stop on my account," Alexandria says, stepping inside. Her heels click purposefully across polished floors. Victor recovers first. "We were just discussing Q3 projections," he claims, subtly signaling Thomas to change the presentation slide. "Without the CEO?" Alexandria challenges, taking the empty seat at the table's end. Heather adjusts her posture, false concern crossing her features. "We didn't want to burden you with preliminary numbers. You've seemed overwhelmed lately." Alexandria notices financial documents being hastily collected. Before they disappear, she glimpses a slide titled Leadership Transition Timeline with tomorrow's date highlighted. She maintains perfect composure through the hastily reconstructed meeting. She asks precise questions. She takes detailed notes. She gives no indication she's seen what wasn't meant for her eyes. That afternoon, Alexandria's security badge stops working at the executive elevator. A security guard approaches apologetically. "Sorry, Ms. Davis. System upgrades. I need to escort you to retrieve personal items before the update completes." Employees watch from behind cubicle walls as security walks Alexandria through the office. Whispers follow her. Some gazes show sympathy. Others hold morbid curiosity. Executives rarely fall so publicly. Alexandria packs essential items from her downgraded office, leaving family photos for last. As she leaves, her phone displays a message from Gerald. "Please meet me tomorrow, 9 a.m., my office, confidential." Simultaneously, her stock monitoring app flashes an alert. A significant block of Pinnacle shares just changed hands on the market. Evening finds Alexandria in a secured location downtown, a private office registered to a shell corporation. Jasmine Williams waits inside, surrounded by documentation spread across multiple screens. They review evidence of discriminatory treatment, emails, meeting recordings, witness statements. Financial discrepancies fill another screen-manipulated data Victor used to undermine her. Security footage shows Bradley and Thomas entering her office after hours, accessing her computer. "We've secured another 3% through our Swiss partners," Jasmine confirms, tapping her tablet to refresh the ownership chart. "We're at 49% ownership." Alexandria checks Gerald's message again. "Gerald wants to meet tomorrow. They're making their move." "Perfect timing," Jasmine smiles, revealing the strategic brilliance that made her reputation. "The final 2% purchase completes at market open. By your meeting time, you'll control the company." They review the comprehensive legal strategy prepared over months. Securities filings ready for submission, corporate bylaws highlighted with relevant sections, evidence packages organized for potential lawsuits. 9 o'clock sharp. Alexandria enters Gerald's expansive corner office. Sunlight streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating unexpected faces. Victor, Heather, Thomas, and Bradley sit arranged in a semicircle. Their expressions mix satisfaction with poorly concealed hostility. Gerald rises, avoiding direct eye contact. "Alexandria," he begins awkwardly, straightening his tie. "The executive committee has expressed serious concerns about company direction under your leadership." Victor slides a leather-bound folder across the polished table. His manicured fingernails tap once against the cover. "We're offering a generous severance package. Resign quietly and we'll provide positive references." Alexandria notices his gold cufflinks catch the light purchased, she knows, with the bonus he received after stealing her mentor's technology. "The board feels your approach isn't aligned with Pinnacle's culture," Gerald adds, emphasis revealing volumes about what culture truly means. Alexandria opens the folder, reviews its contents silently. The severance offer sits atop a stack of performance documentation. She turns pages methodically, giving nothing away in her expression. "May I ask what specific performance issues warrant my removal?" Her voice remains professional, controlled. Victor stands, presenting charts showing declining metrics. The numbers speak for themselves. His confidence stems from knowing these figures have been manipulated, a fact he believes Alexandria can't prove. Alexandria notices Heather's subtle smirk, Bradley's barely contained satisfaction. She checks her phone discreetly beneath the table. A message from Jasmine appears. "Transaction complete. 51% secured." Alexandria tucks the phone away, returning her attention to the room. "Before I respond," she says calmly, "I'd like to understand the board's official position. Has the full board voted on this?" Gerald shifts uncomfortably, glancing at Victor. "We're bringing the recommendation to vote this afternoon. This is a courtesy meeting." "I see," Alexandria responds, gathering her things with unhurried precision. "Then I'll prepare my response for the board meeting." Victor's expression hardens. "Don't make this difficult," he warns, leaning forward. "Accept the inevitable." Alexandria stands, smoothing her jacket. "I always do," she says with unexpected confidence that momentarily unsettles them. Something in her tone causes Victor to blink first. As she reaches the door, Alexandria hears Victor's voice behind her. "Have security ready. She might cause a scene." In the hallway, Alexandria calls Jasmine immediately. "Initiate Protocol 4. Have everyone in position by 2 p.m. She then calls Philip Chen, walking briskly toward the executive elevator. "It's happening today. Is your team ready?" "Absolutely," he confirms. His voice carries the quiet assurance of immense resources mobilizing. The financial press has been discreetly alerted to watch for significant announcements from Pinnacle this afternoon. The boardroom fills for the emergency session. Executive board members take their customary seats. Several appear confused by the sudden meeting. Others exchange knowing glances, anticipating Alexandria's imminent removal. Alexandria arrives last, accompanied by two unfamiliar individuals carrying leather briefcases. She walks directly to the CEO position at the head of the table. Victor's pointed glare follows her movement. He shifts as if to object, but remains silent. Gerald calls the meeting to order with 3 sharp taps of his gavel. "We're here to discuss the Executive Committee's recommendation regarding leadership." Victor stands, buttoning his jacket with practiced precision. His presentation reflects careful preparation, a practiced speech about company culture and performance expectations. He avoids explicitly discriminatory language while implying Alexandria's incompetence through coded phrases and strategic pauses. "In conclusion," Victor finishes, "we believe a change in leadership serves Pinnacle's best interests." The room falls silent. All eyes turn to Alexandria. Gerald clears his throat. "Do you wish to respond before the vote?" Alexandria rises with calm dignity. Her voice carries effortless authority. "Yes, I'd like to introduce my colleagues." She gestures to the woman beside her. "This is Dr. Jasmine Williams, securities attorney and chief counsel for Davis Capital Partners." Confused murmurs circulate the room. Board members exchange questioning glances. "And this," Alexandria continues, indicating the distinguished man to her right, "is Philip Chen, Managing Director of Global Investment Alliance." Alexandria signals to her colleagues. They distribute documents to each board member with precise efficiency. "Before you vote, you should understand exactly who owns this company." Victor scoffs, barely glancing at the papers. "What is this supposed to be?" "SEC filings confirming that as of 9:30 this morning, Davis Capital Partners owns 51% of Pinnacle Industries' outstanding shares," Alexandria states. Her words land with seismic impact. "I am the sole owner of Davis Capital." The room falls silent. Gerald stares at the documents, color draining from his face. Alexandria continues, voice clear in the stunned silence. "I've been investigating Pinnacle since you stole proprietary technology from my mentor 5 years ago, destroying his career. I built my fortune specifically to acquire this company." She activates the presentation screen, displaying actual company performance data. "Under my leadership, Pinnacle has grown 15%. These are the real numbers, not the manipulated data Mr. Brentwood has been circulating." She clicks to the next slide, showing documented instances of discrimination emails, meeting recordings, witness statements. "I've recorded every instance of marginalization, every excluded meeting, every undermined initiative." Alexandria turns to Gerald. "As majority shareholder, I'm calling for an immediate vote to reconstitute the board. Mr. Chen represents investors who have acquired an additional 12% of shares and will vote with me." Victor stands, knocking his chair backward. "This is corporate espionage. You can't—" "It's completely legal," Jasmine interjects, voice precise with legal authority. "Every share was purchased on the open market. The SEC has been fully notified." Alexandria addresses the stunned board. "I'm retaining my position as CEO. Effective immediately, Victor Brentwood, Heather Mills, Thomas Grayson, and Bradley Wilson are terminated for cause." Security enters not to remove Alexandria, but to escort the fired executives from the building. The team responds to Alexandria's nod, positioning themselves behind each named individual. Alexandria's voice remains measured despite her complete victory. "Your company devices have been remotely locked. Your access credentials are revoked. You'll be escorted to collect personal belongings." Victor's face contorts with rage. "You planned this from the beginning." "I learned from watching you," Alexandria responds simply. As security leads the disgraced executives toward the door, Alexandria turns to the remaining board members. Those who weren't actively involved in the discrimination will have the opportunity to remain, pending a full review of your actions. This is just the beginning of Pinnacle's transformation, Alexandria announces as the disgraced executives are escorted out. The question is, who among you will be part of it? News of Alexandria's takeover dominates business headlines by morning. Financial networks interrupt regular programming for breaking coverage. CEO targeted for removal reveals she owns the company, and discrimination backfires. Davis Capital acquires Pinnacle in stealth takeover. Market analysts scramble to assess implications. Pinnacle's stock jumps 12% on opening bell as investors react to the leadership clarity and dramatic narrative. Alexandria addresses all Pinnacle employees in the company's largest conference space. Hundreds more watch via secure live stream. She stands alone at the podium, projecting strength without intimidation. "You've heard rumors," she begins. "Here's the truth. I came to Pinnacle because this company lost its way after stealing innovation rather than creating it. I experienced systematic discrimination from executives who judged me by appearance rather than performance." She explains her background, her acquisition strategy, and most importantly, her vision. This isn't about revenge, she clarifies, making eye contact across the room. It's about transformation, about building what Pinnacle should have been all along. The audience remains silent, processing this revelation from a CEO they thought they knew. Effective immediately, we're initiating a comprehensive audit of all departments. Not to punish, but to understand. Those who perpetuated discrimination will exit. Those who stood by silently will have opportunities to demonstrate growth. Those who quietly resisted will help lead us forward. Within days, Alexandria appoints new executives with proven track records of innovation and inclusivity. Jasmine Williams becomes Chief Legal Officer. Philip Chen joins as Board Chairman. Each appointment reflects strategic vision rather than personal loyalty. Meanwhile, legal proceedings unfold on multiple fronts. Victor and his allies file lawsuits claiming wrongful termination and corporate interference. Their legal teams issue bombastic press statements about hostile takeovers and vengeful leadership. Alexandria's response comes not through press releases but through court filings. Her legal team submits documented evidence of discrimination, financial manipulation, and breach of fiduciary duty. Each allegation comes supported by meticulous evidence recordings, emails, witness statements, financial forensics. Victor's deposition becomes a turning point. Under oath, his defense crumbles when confronted with his own words. Recordings reveal explicit statements about forcing Alexandria out because of both her race and gender. "She doesn't look like someone who should run this company," his voice declares on the authenticated recording. Email chains between the former executives reveal coordinated efforts to undermine Alexandria's initiatives regardless of merit. "Doesn't matter if her strategy works," one message reads. "She needs to fail." Internal investigation uncovers something even more damaging. The former executives had been siphoning company resources to fund a competitive startup. Alexandria's team discovers offshore accounts containing misappropriated funds. What began as discrimination charges expands to include corporate theft and securities fraud. Media scrutiny intensifies beyond the initial shock value. Business journals analyze how Alexandria managed the stealth acquisition while simultaneously running the company she was acquiring. Profile pieces highlight her previous successes under different names. Her strategic brilliance becomes a case study in patience and vision. Pinnacle itself undergoes systematic transformation. Alexandria implements new corporate governance structures, ensuring transparency and accountability at every level. She establishes a leadership development program specifically designed to identify and promote overlooked talent within the organization. Look beyond the obvious candidates, she instructs HR. Find the problem solvers who don't self-promote, the innovators who haven't had platforms for their ideas. Former employees who left due to the toxic environment receive personal calls inviting them to return. Many accept, bringing valuable institutional knowledge combined with outside perspective. Those who enabled the discrimination face appropriate consequences, while those who stood silently receive education and second chances based on their willingness to change. Quarterly financials tell their own story. Without the burden of executive sabotage, Alexandria's strategies deliver immediate results. Product development accelerates. Client retention improves. Innovation flourishes as previously silenced voices gain platforms. The Securities and Exchange Commission launches a formal investigation into Victor and his allies based on evidence Alexandria's team provides. Criminal charges become increasingly likely as financial forensics uncover years of manipulation and misappropriation. Victor's public statements grow increasingly desperate as legal pressures mount. His media appearances shift from confident dismissals to defensive accusations. His former allies begin negotiating separate deals, seeking leniency in exchange for testimony against him. Alexandria meets with her executive team 6 months after the takeover. The boardroom feels different now, energized with purpose rather than political maneuvering. The legal battles are necessary but secondary, she tells them, reviewing quarterly projections that exceed all expectations. Our primary focus remains building Pinnacle into what it always should have been. Jasmine presents litigation updates efficiently. Victor's defense is collapsing. His allies are turning against him. The SEC investigation expands weekly as they uncover new financial improprieties. And our internal transformation? Alexandria asks, turning to her newly appointed chief people officer. The culture audit is complete. New mentorship programs launch next week. Employee satisfaction metrics show significant improvement across all demographics. Alexandria nods, satisfied but not complacent. Good. Now let's discuss our 5-year innovation roadmap. The real challenge, Alexandria tells her new executive team, isn't punishing those who wronged us, but building something so extraordinary that their absence becomes irrelevant. 6 months after the takeover, a federal courtroom fills with journalists, industry observers, and current Pinnacle employees. Victor Brentwood sits with his diminished legal team, his once immaculate appearance showing subtle signs of strain. His custom suit hangs slightly looser. His eyes dart nervously around the room. Judge Eleanor Martinez reviews evidence documents, her expression revealing nothing as she examines exhibits detailing securities fraud, discrimination, and corporate malfeasance. Alexandria takes the witness stand, her posture perfect, her voice steady. She testifies with clinical precision about the systematic discrimination she experienced. She presents documented evidence chronologically, each excluded meeting, each undermined initiative, each manipulated report. On March 17th, I discovered financial projections had been altered before board presentation, she explains. The original data showed 15% growth under my leadership. The manipulated version showed 3% decline. Her testimony remains powerful without emotional embellishment, factual without vindictiveness. She answers questions directly, never elaborating beyond what's asked. Former employees take the stand next. A software engineer describes how Victor rejected her promotion despite recommendation from 3 directors. He said the team wasn't ready for someone like her in leadership. An accounting manager testifies about Victor instructing him to prepare 2 versions of financial reports, one accurate, one modified, to undermine Alexandria. HR records presented as evidence reveal a pattern. Talented minority employees consistently received lower performance ratings despite measurable achievements. Many eventually left or were forced out through systematic isolation. Victor's defense strategy collapses when his former allies turn against him. Heather Mills, securing a plea deal, testifies that Victor explicitly stated his intention to remove Alexandria because she doesn't look like a CEO should look. He said the board would thank him once she was gone, Heather testifies, avoiding Alexandria's gaze. He said clients would feel more comfortable with traditional leadership. Financial forensic experts present devastating evidence of Victor's embezzlement scheme. The courtroom displays remain clinical, but their implications are clear. Systematic theft disguised as legitimate business expenses. The judge reviews documentation of offshore accounts and suspicious transactions coinciding with Alexandria's strategic initiatives. Victor takes the stand in his own defense, his attorney's reluctance visible in subtle body language. His testimony begins with practiced confidence, but deteriorates under cross-examination. "Did you tell Ms. Mills that the company needed traditional leadership?" the prosecutor asks. "That's not what I meant," Victor snaps. "I meant experienced leadership." Yet Ms. Davis had successfully founded and sold 3 tech companies before joining Pinnacle, correct? Victor's composure cracks further. "Companies that no one had heard of. Companies you didn't investigate because you'd already decided she wasn't qualified?" Victor's testimony grows increasingly hostile. He questions Alexandria's qualifications despite her documented success. He dismisses discrimination evidence as sensitivity to normal business practices. His contempt becomes increasingly visible. Judge Martinez delivers her ruling with measured severity. The evidence presents a disturbing pattern of discrimination, financial malfeasance, and breach of fiduciary duty. Her voice carries throughout the silent courtroom. The defendants systematically undermined leadership based on prejudice rather than performance, then attempted to conceal their actions through financial manipulation. The ruling lands with seismic impact. Victor and his key allies are barred from serving as officers in any publicly traded company. Substantial financial penalties are imposed. Criminal referrals are made for the financial crimes. As Victor leaves the courthouse surrounded by reporters shouting questions, Alexandria approaches him. Television cameras capture their exchange. "You could have been part of building something remarkable," she tells him quietly. "Instead, you chose to destroy." "You didn't belong in that office," Victor responds bitterly, unable to conceal his fundamental belief even now. "That office now belongs to me," Alexandria replies calmly, "along with everything you worked for." As Victor is led away, Alexandria turns to the gathered press. Today isn't about one person's downfall. It's about changing a system that allowed this behavior to flourish. 1 year after Alexandria's takeover. Pinnacle Industries' headquarters gleams against the morning skyline, its logo redesigned to incorporate elements of growth and inclusion. Inside, the transformation extends beyond symbolic gestures to fundamental structural change. The company valuation has doubled. Industry publications feature Pinnacle's remarkable turnaround as a case study in inclusive leadership. The Davis method becomes shorthand for ethical corporate governance. Alexandria stands at the podium announcing the Pinnacle Foundation's launch. This foundation will support minority entrepreneurs and provide scholarships for underrepresented students in business and technology fields, she explains to the assembled press. "We're allocating $50 million in initial funding to break down the barriers I faced." The boardroom that once excluded Alexandria now features diverse leadership representing various backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Quarterly reports highlight the tangible impact. Innovation metrics up 32%. Employee satisfaction reaching record levels. Client retention strengthened by 27%. Key performance indicators reveal a company functioning not just profitably, but ethically. Whistleblower protections, compensation equity, and promotion transparency create structural accountability. Alexandria testifies before a congressional committee on corporate governance reform. She sits alone at the witness table, her presence commanding the room's attention without performance or pageantry. "What happened at Pinnacle wasn't unique," she explains to legislators. "It was simply exposed and addressed in a unique way. Most victims of workplace discrimination lack the resources to purchase controlling interest in their companies." Her testimony catalyzes proposed legislation strengthening protections against workplace discrimination and enhancing transparency in corporate leadership. The Corporate Accountability Act advances with bipartisan support. its provisions directly influenced by Alexandria's experiences and recommendations. Throughout the industry, ripple effects spread. Several major tech companies initiate independent audits of their executive practices. Board members question diversity statistics with new scrutiny. Shareholders demand accountability metrics previously dismissed as unnecessary. No one wants to be the next pinnacle scandal, industry analysts observe, as companies scramble to demonstrate inclusive practices. Alexandria meets with a group of minority executives from across the technology sector. They gather in Pinnacle's headquarters, sharing experiences strikingly similar to what she endured. Together, they form an alliance committed to mentoring the next generation of leaders from underrepresented backgrounds. The system doesn't change through individual success stories, Alexandria tells them. It changes when we create pathways for others to follow. Harvard Business School creates a case study about Alexandria's strategy, teaching future business leaders about both the ethical and strategic failures of Pinnacle's former executives. The Davis acquisition becomes required reading in corporate ethics courses nationwide. Former antagonist Bradley Wilson completes an intensive executive rehabilitation program Alexandria established. Unlike Victor, he publicly acknowledges his complicity in the discrimination and becomes an advocate for workplace inclusion. "I failed to recognize my own biases," he admits in a widely shared interview. "I valued the wrong metrics and ignored the human cost of our executive culture." 2 years after the takeover. Alexandria stands at the window of her executive office, watching morning light transform the city skyline. Pinnacle's headquarters now anchors a thriving tech innovation district that Alexandria helped develop, bringing opportunities to previously overlooked neighborhoods. The office reflects her leadership philosophy: open, accessible, yet focused. Awards line one wall, but family photos and mentor acknowledgments occupy more prominent positions. A framed circuit board from her first startup reminds her where she began. Jasmine enters without knocking. Their professional relationship evolved to trusted friendship. She carries the latest company reports in one hand, coffee in the other. "Another record quarter," she announces, setting both on Alexandria's desk. "The new product line is exceeding projections by 18%. Alexandria turns from the window. "And the leadership incubator? 20 graduates, all placed in executive roles across the industry," Jasmine confirms with evident satisfaction. 3 at Pinnacle. The mentorship program has a waiting list of volunteers. Alexandria's office displays photos of her parents alongside news articles about Pinnacle's transformation. A framed letter from her mentor, Dr. James Wright, occupies central position. His words, "You transformed injustice into opportunity," guide her daily decisions. Gerald, the former board chairman who remained as an advisor after demonstrating genuine commitment to change, knocks at her open door. His role has evolved to ethics compliance officer, his former complacency replaced with vigilance. "The Industry Leadership Summit is ready whenever you are," he informs her. "Full attendance." Alexandria follows him to a conference room filled with executives from across the technology sector. Many are graduates of her leadership program. Others are former skeptics who now seek her guidance on transformation initiatives within their own organizations. She begins her address without preamble or self-importance. 2 years ago, I experienced what many of you have faced, the assumption that I didn't belong at the table. Rather than simply claiming my seat, I chose to rebuild the table entirely. The room listens with focused attention as Alexandria outlines the quantifiable benefits Pinnacle has realized through inclusive leadership: increased innovation, expanded market reach, improved employee retention, and record profitability. "The greatest competitive advantage in business isn't technology, capital, or market position," she concludes. "It's seeing the value in people others underestimate, including yourself." After the summit, Alexandria visits a university entrepreneurship class. Students from diverse backgrounds listen intently as she shares her journey without embellishment or dramatization. She describes challenges factually, strategies precisely, outcomes honestly. When I was forced to gather my belongings from that executive boardroom, I made a choice, she tells them. I chose to transform humiliation into determination, obstacles into strategy, and exclusion into purpose. A student raises her hand, asking how Alexandria maintained her composure throughout the ordeal. I never confused their perception with my reality, Alexandria answers. Their limited vision of who belonged in leadership said nothing about my capabilities and everything about their limitations. As Alexandria leaves campus, spring sunlight warming the walkways, she notices a young woman sitting alone on a bench. The student reviews business plans with fierce concentration, making notes with determined precision. Alexandria recognizes something familiar in her focus, the same intensity she once brought to her first startup. Alexandria pauses, then approaches the student. "That looks interesting," she says, gesturing to the business plan. The young woman looks up, momentarily startled, then recognition dawns. "Ms. Davis, I was just studying your case," she begins. Alexandria smiles, extending her hand. "Tell me about your idea." She sits beside the student, continuing the cycle of mentorship and opportunity that transforms individual success into lasting change. 1 month after her university visit, Alexandria stands on stage receiving an Industry Lifetime Achievement Award. Despite being only in her 40s, her impact on corporate America has been profound enough to earn this recognition typically reserved for end-of-career achievements. "True power isn't in controlling others," she says, her voice carrying through the hushed auditorium. "It's in creating systems where everyone can contribute their full potential." The audience of diverse business leaders watches attentively. Many were directly mentored by Alexandria or graduated from programs she established. Others represent companies that have implemented governance reforms modeled after Pinnacle's transformation. The story of Pinnacle isn't just about one company's transformation, Alexandria continues, confidence balanced with humility. It's about reimagining what leadership looks like across an entire industry. In the weeks since her conversation with that promising student, Alexandria has expanded her influence globally. She meets with international business leaders at economic forums. She testifies before governance commissions on corporate responsibility. She launches innovation hubs in underserved communities where young entrepreneurs develop tomorrow's technologies. The question isn't whether discrimination exists in your organization, she challenges the audience. The question is whether you have the courage to recognize it and the commitment to eliminate it. After the ceremony, Alexandria returns to her office. Among the applications for Pinnacle's executive mentorship program, she finds a submission from the child of one of her former antagonists. The young applicant seeks to learn from the woman who transformed their understanding of leadership. Alexandria approves the application with a handwritten note. "Our future isn't defined by the limitations of our past." She places the application in the acceptance folder, then turns to the window. The city skyline has changed since her journey began. Not just Pinnacle's tower, but the surrounding landscape of opportunity she's helped create. Her parents' photo watches from her desk as Alexandria considers how far their legacy has extended through her work. The transformation extends beyond corporate structures to the lives of individuals who now have pathways previously blocked. True victory isn't defeating those who underestimate you, Alexandria reflects. It's building something they couldn't imagine. The student she mentored at the university has joined Pinnacle's accelerator program. The former antagonists have faded to irrelevance. The system that protected them continues evolving toward accountability. Alexandria reviews next week's schedule. She'll be introducing a remarkable investment banker who was once told she was too aggressive to lead, until she founded the firm that revolutionized sustainable finance. Another story of transformation, another example of turning obstacles into opportunity. The work continues, one story at a time, one life at a time, one system at a time. Did this story resonate with you? Beat Stories shares powerful narratives of triumph, justice, and transformation every week. Hit that like button if you believe in creating opportunities for others. Subscribe to Beat Stories for more inspiring stories that challenge the status quo and celebrate strategic excellence. Join our community of changemakers who understand that the greatest stories aren't just told, they're lived. Beat Stories, where justice gets the last word.
You just witnessed the gap between power and responsibility. At Beat Stories, we close that gap, one story at a time. Subscribe and help hold systems, leaders, and gatekeepers accountable.